What is going on, guys? Hey, if you're new here and you like home arcade, hit like, hit subscribe. Today we're talking about naughty stuff. No. We're talking about modding your Arcade1up cabinet. Maybe other devices too. Maybe you want to mod your Legends Ultimate. I'm going to tell you exactly where to download ROMs. What am I doing? I don't know why I'm doing that. Like I just ran upstairs and grabbed a beer and I came down and I'm like, I'm just going to talk about whatever. No, check this out. This is what we're going to talk about. We're going to break down why ETA Prime has 1 million views on how to modify your Arcade1up cabinet. Can you believe that? 1 million views on how to mod your Arcade1up cabinet. But I'm going to break it down. Some things have changed since he put out that great video. A lot of people are familiar with it, but I want to talk about first the two things you have to understand when you're getting into modding your Arcade1up cabinet. And the first thing is my favorite thing. You guys know how cool this is. It's all about the resolution. We're talking about the LVDS converter board that you're going to need to get to be able to first connect whatever computer you want to connect to your Arcade1up cabinet monitor. You need the right adapter. And there's two different types. There is one for the 5x4 screen, which we see Neo Severa in the chat here. He likes the I think he kind of likes the NeoGeo MVSX, and I will say that the this converter right here also works on the Unico branded NeoGeo MVSX because it uses that 5x4 monitor. Now, let's break it down. Let's talk about it. So that's ETA Prime's video. This is the picture of the Arcade1up cabinet on the back. Notice how it says M17, little black sticker. That is the first and second generation monitor that Arcade1up came out with. That's going to have that 5x4 monitor. Notice it says M17, and right here, we're going to see that M17 because this is that 5x4, 1280 by 1024. And this is the adapter that you would need to be able to connect HDMI, like your computer or say your Raspberry Pi or some type of console. And there's certain consoles you would or wouldn't want to be able to connect to your Arcade1up cabinet. And we'll talk about that more in a little bit. But let's say you wanted to have VGA input, DVI, HDMI. You're going to need this adapter because it outputs that 30-pin LVDS, just like, oh, here we go. Just like what we see right here. So coming off of the board, you're going to see the LVDS cable. You're going to need power, and that power is going to connect to that board, and you're going to supply power to it, and you're going to have HDMI. There is actually another board here. This is showing the BOE monitor. So the second generation Arcade1up cabinets, or like third generation Arcade1up cabinets, started with like TMNT and Star Wars, Marvel superheroes. From then on, most of them are using this BOE monitor. So that one corresponds to this one on Amazon here. That's a 4x3 screen. This is the one you're going to want for the BOE monitor. So there we go. Now we have a computer connected to the Arcade1up monitor. We're halfway there, right? You're able to boot up, let's say it's a PC. You're able to boot up an operating system and drive that monitor and see your Windows login, or you see like a RetroPie logo. You're halfway there, right? So what's the second half? And I'm going to look through the tabs and see if I can find it. So the second half is you need to be able to connect the controls to that computer. Now, ETA Prime, in his wonderful video of 1 million views, he described all of these pieces of junk. Now, I'll be fair. Now, actually, I won't be fair. So at the time that video came out, these were much cheaper. And now people know that tons of people are modding their Arcade1up cabinets. And so the price of these devices have gone up. But let's break it down. Let's talk about what you actually need. So inside these kits, of course, some people like the LED lights. Maybe you want that. You're going to need some joysticks. But the Arcade1up already has joysticks. Do you need to replace them? Well, that's a preference. But one thing is for sure that you must do is you need to connect all of those to this zero delay. I'm going to go to DIY Retro Arcade. I'm going to show you an example of what he has. He has just the encoder. Now, of course, you can get these on Amazon or whatever, but he has a good picture on here, and I wanted to make sure he's showcased because he has a lot of great stuff on his site. So, for example, you could go to him and get like some of the buttons and sticks that are a little higher quality. Like he has the Sanwa buttons here. And, DIY True Arcade, like he kind of caters, if you see this drop-down menu, you'll see Arcade1up 3/4 scales, and he has options for the joysticks, the buttons, everything that you kind of need. And he has some stuff that's a little higher quality. And then the zero delay, see all these little connectors, that's what you're going to connect to the buttons and joysticks. And this encoder right there, look at that USB, boom, you plug that into your computer or Raspberry Pi, and you're like done, right? You're done. You got your monitor, you got your joysticks, and then I can't talk about anything else. I can't talk. Like literally I start talking about it and boom, YouTube's going to shut me down. Or all those publishers that I have friendships with, boom, they're going to shut me down, right? So what we're talking about is, how to get your game. So that's up to you, So what images you're going to use or where you're going to obtain those ROMs, that's up to you. But the main point is understand you got your monitor and you got your joysticks and you connect that. So that's Arcade1up in a nutshell. That's how the basics of modding your Arcade1up and being able to do whatever you want with it. But what about some of the other systems that are out there? What about the Legends Ultimate? Maybe you want to buy a Legends Ultimate because you're going to pirate the crap out of this thing, right? You're going to load 17,000 games that you'll never play. Dude, the Legends Ultimate's for you if you want 17,000 games. You know why? Because it has USB drive plugged in. It's got some downsides though, right? So it's got a 16:9 screen and probably all the games that I'm going to play are 4:3. So you got all this extra space, right? Let's talk about some other things I hate about the Legends Ultimate. Well, it's a multicade, right? And so like the Arcade1up, you got a Street Fighter cabinet. Maybe I love Street Fighter, but this doesn't have the Street Fighter, but that's okay, dude. That's okay. They got you. You can go to Sabo, you can go to these various graphics designers and you can buy the various artwork that you like for this unit. So, maybe you don't have to spend the money on the USB encoder. Maybe you don't have to spend the money on the LVDS encoder, but maybe you got to spend the money on the artwork. Now, that could be for you. Now, some people love the Legends Ultimate, and my job here is to completely insult you and make you be like, comment down below, be like, you don't know anything about the Legends Ultimate. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I don't, because I don't care. Actually, I'm just teasing, guys. I'm just teasing. But here's the thing. I know my family is here, and he loves his Legends Ultimate, like more than anything. And that's cool, dude. If you love Legends Ultimate, that's great. And I do too. I have one. It's pretty cool. But I just like to, kind of bag on them a little bit. But check this out. If you wanted to bring your own games, you're still going to have to obtain the games yourself, unless you have special access to the secret forums you can go to, and they'll just, you can download a CoinOps X, you can download all the add-on X, you can download the Flash X, you can download the sauce, you can download the UCs or whatever, and just bam, bada, boom, got to partition that drive like 17 times, and boom, you can play the 17,000 games that you love on this without spending a dime on the LVDS and without buying little joysticks. Because you know what's cool about the Legends Ultimate? I'll be honest here. The Legends Ultimate has some pretty snazzy joysticks. It has some pretty snazzy buttons. Not only that, let's get serious about the Legends Ultimate. They're the only ones that allow you to bring your own game. That's right. You can develop your own game on your own, get back into BASIC and play your own, build your games. You compile that, right? Boom. Boom, you can bring your own game. No, that's not what this means. It means you can download your own games that you find on some website hassle-free. That's right. See, Brad's all like, dude, it's no hassle. That's right. And you just sideload that right into the USB. You have 17,000 different ways to load your 17,000 games, which is pretty sweet, because options are great, right? Like, options are wonderful. Like, if you want to go with option 1 or option 15,432, like, you can do that too. It's pretty sweet. And let me take another sip of my beer. Okay. In all honesty here, Legends Ultimate is pretty cool because they have a lot of options for you. Maybe you don't have a computer, and so you're just going to download all those games illegally and then just put them in the cloud. They got you. You can totally do that. You can run those games from their server. You could do that. Or maybe you do have a high-end computer. You can take a PC and put it right next to your Legends Ultimate, connect it to your network, right? And you can stream all those 17,000 games. to your PC. And that's actually really cool, because think about it. Just a moment ago, we were talking about the Arcade1up, how you have to buy the LVDS. You got to do that USB. And maybe you're going to bring your own computer. Well, the situation I'm just talking about right now is you're bringing your own computer for the Legends Ultimate, but you just put it on the network. That's pretty snazzy, actually. That's the new word of the day. It's snazzy, by the way. Everyone in the chat, say snazzy. See who can spell it the best, all right? Now, if I'm missing out anything, I will tell you right now, if you want me to read anything of yours, I got my tool up right now. Just type in the word read, and I will read it. You see, already we got Lewis Chambers with Justin already heavily buzzed. And Neo Severa saying there's already people waiting. So if you want me to read what you have to say, because I know you have some input on all of this. So please, in all honesty, the reason why I'm freaking out right now is because the last 2 days have been crazy for me. Dude, I went to an auction. I've way overspent money. I bought 4 arcades. I had to get a U-Haul, and I delivered all of those just so now I can own genuine arcade games for games that I've already pirated for Arcade1up and Legends Ultimate. It's so dumb. Why would I spend so much money on real arcades when I can just play them on my Legends Ultimate or my Arcade1up? It's just crazy. See, Paul is here. He says he's ready. And then Reed, are you reading me? Mike Hawk is all over it. Okay. What for arcades? Dude, Zohar, 4 Mortal Kombat 1s. That's what I bought. It's crazy. And by the way, I'm not sending in any of them to you. I had no time to prepare this, guys. I just set it for 7 o'clock, and here I am. Oh, by the way, welcome to yet another Home Arcade podcast. This is yet another Home Arcade podcast where the host has no clue what he's talking about. All we're doing is just feeding off the wave of ETA Prime. That's it. See right here, 1 million views. If you take the other views of every video in the Home Arcade and combine them together, it still won't reach 1 million. It won't reach 1 million. This guy just put it out there, and we're all just riding his wave. That's all it is. This podcast is just a ride waiver for ETA Prime. It's what it's always been. 1UP Weekly, same thing. Dreamcast Kyle, all your videos you've ever done about arcade, you're just riding ETA Prime's wave. That's all you're doing. His splash was so big that literally 17 podcasts were created outside of it. And this is just yet another podcast. And Zero here was like, are you envious of ETA Prime? No, man, dude, that dude only has arms. Look, watch this video. He only has arms. And now, check this out. 1 million views. Boom, I'm going to get another ad. There you go. See, boom. And he's like, hey, you should totally use StreamYard. I'm using StreamYard right now. YouTube doesn't even know that I have StreamYard open right now. They're trying to sell me StreamYard. Okay, anyway. So take a look at ETA Prime's video. He only has arms. He's like, hey, guys, ETA Prime here. And he's showing you exactly how to do it. I don't even know why I need to make this video. Like, just go watch. I'll put a link in the description. Just watch this. He shows you how to break it down. Right? Let's see what other tabs I have open here that I can talk about for a little bit. Here's another tab. The Legends Ultimate is another tab. Here's the BYOG. Here's another tab for you. You can bring your own games. You can learn more. Dude, you can pay $20 a month so that you can play it. Actually, this is pretty cool, right? You can get access to 30 hours of a whole bunch of games streaming over MPEG. It's pretty cool, actually. Yeah, Neo Severa, he's got it. Tons of tabs. The more tabs I have, the better podcaster I am. Check it out. And then let's repeat this again. BYOG is another good one. And we got these people, and they're loving the Legends Ultimate. So that's really cool. So the Legends Ultimate, they have all these different screens in here. Dude, firmware updates for the Legends Ultimate are fantastic. Every single week, they release new firmware, except for the weeks where they don't. But they try really hard. And then you can get a subscription. So for free, you're going to get ArcadeNet free. It's the basic version. You'll get 10 additional games. You can stream those games in 720p at 30 frames per second. And you can do multiplayer and voice chat with 2 people. That's pretty sweet. But check this out. If you pay $20 a month, You get access to 80 plus games, including pinball, with unlimited playtime. Now you can do 1080p 60 frames per second, multiplayer and voice chat, 4 players. Now this is where it's starting to get good, because although AtGames is like, dude, sideload all the games you want onto our machine, right? They like support that. They like build software so you can do that. They don't supply you ROMs unless you know how to get the ROMs yourself. And if you don't know how to get the ROMs, you go to some secret forum, that's on Facebook, and you can download those ROMs, right? But no one talks about that publicly, right? Let's not talk about that. We can't talk about that. We'll get in trouble. I'll get banned everywhere if I talk about that more. But also, you can pay monthly and actually get access to games that are in the cloud that they licensed. So look, you can play the licensed games, or you can play the games that you didn't pay for. Like, it's a conundrum. You could do both. Like, you could, like, they like, dude, no matter who you are, they got you. You want to play the games legit and pay legit, you can do that. You don't want to pay legit, you can do that too. Like that's there for you. The hardware's there. And with Arcade1up, they're like, hey, look, we just make monitors and joysticks, and we do 4 games, but we make it kind of look like that cabinet. You want to take it further? That's on you. And they make you buy this LVDS or this LVDS, and they make you watch videos like I'm showing you a video how to take it apart, and then it has to look like that, and then, or it looks like that, and then you're probably gonna have to buy those buttons, and then you're gonna have to watch ETA Prime's video, and you go to DIY Retro Arcade, you got to get the 0 delay, or you can just buy the Legends Ultimate, dude. What? Come on, let's figure it out, right? So let's look at this real quick. We're gonna do the read, then we're gonna do a poll. Which one is better to mod? So Mr. Stevens says, Legends ecosystems make me feel like I'm out in the shady part of town with no clothes on. Wow. Stringer Films says, read my super chat. All right, Stringer Films. Let me see if I can find your super chat. And he says, okay. Who peed in Justin's Cheerios this morning? Okay, let me tell you real quick. So I bought 4 arcades, like I was saying, right? I spent all day cleaning my garage, and I'm nowhere near, because if I have to, if I have to restore these arcades, I need a place to restore them. So I'm a little grumpy because literally my legs feel like they're going to fall off, because I've been like standing and moving around and lifting arcades that weigh way too much. Okay, thank you for the donation. Appreciate it. And C Marvel 360 says, but I'd rather have the LVDS for a lag-free experience. Okay, all right. What did you buy? Okay, we'll talk about that later. Justin is a mind reader. Just found out the other day. Yeah, that's right, Don. You're 1 day older than Retro Ralph because today's your birthday. And Dreamcast Kyle, is this sarcasm? Of course it is. Let's see. Justin needs a Snicker. I think that's right. So let's put it to a poll, right? Let's do this poll. So 0 if you don't mod, and 1 if you do mod. I'm trying to figure out how many people I offended today, because I think if you don't mod, you just like, dude, that's cool. That's fun rant you got there, Justin. You lost me as a subscriber, though. And then, oh, crap. I'm in trouble. Look how many people I just offended. See, as it goes up, boom, 83%, 81%. Look at how many people I offended tonight. I'm pretty good at offending you, right? No, look, it's just shtick. See, Justin's shtick. Paul's got it figured out. I'm just playing with you guys. Here's the thing. Like, how else am I going to keep myself entertained for these streams, right? Like, really, I'm restarting over. I'm going to do my own podcast called Yet Another Arcade Podcast and go through all of it again and again. This is like the 7th time I've made this video, but you guys still come and you still give me views. So we got to mix it up a little, right? I got to kind of be funny. Hey, give me a list. Ooh, we got 83%. All right, cool, man. So now we got a whole bunch of people that mod. Look, it's just like 1. Lots of modding going on. Okay, so we're gonna reset this poll again. So 0 if you mod Arcade1up, Zero doesn't mean bad or good. We're just labeling it here. Hold on for a second. 1 equals you mod in big air quotes, the legends, and 2 if you mod both. Oh wait, you can't do 2. Can't do 2 because I don't have support for it. I do upstairs, but not downstairs. Okay, so we're going to scroll forward. I'm going to scroll back. Hey, Don, we love you, Justin. Thank you so much. So I'm going to start here. Oh, got to reset. And we're going to start. Boom, here we go. See how many people mod their Arcade1up versus mod their Legends. I don't get this. Look at this. Now, is it because I have it? Here's why, dude. You know why that 70% number is too high? It's really simple. 90% of all the videos, 99% of all the videos that I do on YouTube are about Arcade1up. It's really simple. I've done like two AtGames videos. So, it's just probably the subscribers that I have, the people that are going to come live are Arcade1up fans. So if you're going to mod the arcade, you're probably... And at a glance, I'm going to look. There's a handful of two people that are saying they mod both. Okay, but why? Why? And this is, do me a favor, do a read. This is my question to you. Why would you mod an Arcade1up when you have to go through the hassle of the LVDS and the USB when you could just buy a Legends Ultimate? Okay. Where you could just buy a Legends Ultimate and just sideload everything, right? Okay, I still have that bug in here, so I'm gonna hit refresh here. So we're gonna go through and try to figure out why among this group there's so many people that would mod the Arcade1up when it's so much more work than modding the AtGames Legends Ultimate. Okay, in between then, I'm gonna scroll up. I think there was a couple super chats. And Stringer Film says, at least your garage didn't flood last night. Dude, your garage isn't waterproof? Dude, that sucks. I feel really bad. My wife was telling me the story today as I was cleaning it out. She has a couple of big 5-gallon water bottles. And she was like, we left it in the garage over the winter and we shouldn't have done that. She said she went into the garage and found one of them completely busted open, but there was no water. Like, where did that water go? At some point it burst and it just emptied out of the garage evidently. And we didn't even notice. Anyway, that's kind of interesting. Let's see. The next one we have in line is Hobby Hands. I see. Hobby Hands, thank you so much. He says, I'm building a 3/4 multi-cab and have 2 Dell monitors. Wait, what? 2 Dell monitors? What are you doing? Like a dual play choice type of thing? I don't understand. Both 17-inch. What is the highly desired screen and how do I verify it? So Bob, the Arcade1up screen, I think that's what you're asking. If you look on the back of it, let's see if I can grab a picture. It has a BOE right there. That's the better one. Pretty much everything 2019, 2020 from Arcade1up 17-inch from their cabinets so far I've seen are BOE. There's some Partycades. Some of the Partycades are BOE, and some of the Partycades are the M17. Now the M17, I don't know if it's the exact M17, but the NeoGeo cabinet and the IR Arcade, which is 19-inch, are not the BOE. They are lesser quality. I think the NeoGeo looks good because they have better power that's going to it. So it's the illumination of the screen is better. It's not as brilliant and bright compared to the first gen Arcade1up, which was too bright. So blacks looked gray type of thing, and lots of light bleed. So you can control light bleed with, the quality of the unit, the control of the power that's going into it, and the bulbs that are lighting up the screen. And so BOE, it's not like the best monitor in the world, the BOE, but among the Arcade1ups, the BOE is pretty good. Good contrast ratio. It has pretty decent viewing angles, except from the bottom. This BOE from the side looks good. From the top down looks good, but from the bottom up doesn't look very good. That's why if you get a Pac-Man, the BOE from the one side of Pac-Man doesn't look very good, even on the BOE, because that's the side of it's actually the bottom. So the viewing angle coming on the side on the verticals aren't as good as... Dude, Zohar, you promised me you wouldn't super chat. I'm going to ban you if you super chat again. Look, everyone, I love Zohar. Like, I really do. Like, he's a great friend, but he promised me he wouldn't super chat anymore to me. And we had an agreement. There was no more super chats, and he just broke it. Dude, that's not cool. You're supposed to be saving up your money for a Mortal Kombat cabinet. I'm disappointed in you. If you super chat again, I won't read it. I'm not joking. I will read your... I just type in the word read. I'll read your normal message. Don't pay me. It says 1UP should sell empty CADs with pretty artwork. They'll never do it. Leave the quality of sticks and buttons to us, since they refuse to care about the quality hardware. The second half of your sentence, they feel that they're doing that already. They're putting cheap buttons and sticks in there, and if you want better ones, just replace them. That's their attitude. Let's see. And then Bob says, building mine from scratch, not modding, received 2 Dells and using one from my friend. Okay, so basically anything Dell, that's a 4x3 screen. Like, if you can find a 4x3 Dell, it's good. Even if you bought the Dell that's the 1280 by 1024, it's going to be pretty good, because keep in mind, monitors progressed from 4x3 to 5x4 to, like, now there's, 16x9. There's actually various resolutions now. But there was this period of time where they were 4x3 and 5x4. And so there's a lot of computing systems like a Pi or a computer that they can totally adapt to those resolutions. And, if you want pristine pixel perfect, you can have some board. Like a 5x4 is close enough to a 4x3 that if you, upscale it perfectly into a 5x4, you'll just have a little bit of border. It's exactly like the NeoGeo. If you take a look at the NeoGeo and you put it in pixel perfect mode, I think you have like 32 extra pixels at the top and bottom. Kind of looks like it's letterboxed. But it's like really minor, right? But you actually have, you basically have 960p resolution inside a 1024, But the really popular one a lot of people get is the Dell 2007 FSB or FBS. I can't remember. I think it's because they made a lot of those, and they're I think it's a 4x3. I think it's a 4x3 screen. And I think that one can go to the 1280 by 960, which is typically like a 4x of a lot of these games are around 240p, and it upscales to that. But they're hard to find. Those are everything. ETA Prime ruined it for everybody. He's like, basically started this big... I mean, it's not really ETA Prime's fault. If you're watching ETA Prime, I love you. Like, we're all riding your wave. We all really appreciate it. But what I'm trying to say is actually the modding scene for Arcade1up blew up and caused tons of prices to go up, including some of these old mid 2000, early 2000 Dell monitors that people are using in these arcade cabinets. Now, I do have a friend that's in the industry, and he's working with some manufacturers to get some new monitors into the scene because he recognizes there's this whole modding scene for new monitors, and he's trying to get more 4x3s into the industry. Can't talk more about it, but I'm really hoping he comes through because, basically, if a manufacturer got behind the idea of building, we could come out with some like 20 inches, maybe 27 inch, imagine, but 4x3. So we can play these old retro games on an arcade with even larger screen, but the aspect ratio and the resolution it will work with like a computer that's, so you play a whatever game you want to play, a Street Fighter game at its full resolution, it would look really good on a much larger cabinet. You're not going to have any bezel. You're not going to be stretching. That would be the dream. I hope they actually come through with that. Firestick Expert, did you get your Legends Mini yet? I did. And I threw 17,000 games on it. It was awesome. No, just kidding. So I did get the Legends Mini, and I actually really liked it. So there was a time that I was working with AtGames, and they sent me a Legends Ultimate control panel so I could do, I was writing some code for them, and I was doing some testing. And so there's a period of time where my daughter started playing off of that control panel, and she was playing Lion King, the Sega Lion King, and she had a lot of fun. And I was like, hey, we could play that. I mean, I have that game on Sega. and I have like the Sega, the Mega SG, like the from Analog, that upscales beautifully and it's HDMI and whatever. So, but she wanted to play it. Like the first time she ever played it was on arcade sticks and buttons from the Legends Ultimate. And I have a Legends Ultimate, but it's down here, and she never usually comes into this room to play the Legends Ultimate over there. And so I had her play the Legends MIDI, and she's like, "Oh, this is great. This is like last year when I was playing." She's like, "Yeah." And so it has like a lot of the Mini actually has a lot of the games from Legends Ultimate that I enjoyed playing from the big one. So yeah, I got it for $89, and it plays them pretty well. I really hate the startup screen. I wish they should have a screen that's like, press this button and so you can pair it. And, and I had to get the instructions, and it took me forever to pair it, and I felt like an idiot. But then once I got it paired, then I could play it. And then I left my office, and it was nighttime, and I walked by and I could see the glow of the Legends Ultimate Mini, or Legends Mini, illuminating the power switch. I forgot to turn it off, so I felt really stupid. Anyway, so also, could you use the Legends Mini on an Arcade1up mod? So this is the other part. So we can talk about this. This is the area that I wouldn't recommend doing that. I'll tell you why. You jump into this. I don't know why I'm showing this picture, but anyway, the screen on the Arcade1up, like this one, it's a 4x3 screen. And so everything that AtGames does is 16:9. So if you're trying to drive a 16:9 input into the HDMI on here, it's like the worst scenario possible. It's the worst scenario possible. You're basically taking a 16:9 screen, and you got to try to put it in a 4x3. So there's basically two options with that. You're going to have big letterbox on the bottom. Kind of think back in the 90s when you had a 4x3 screen, and then you'd watch a cinematic movie that's, not pan and scan. It's not stretched or anything. You had letterbox, right? So now you're playing the Legends Ultimate that's intended to be for 16:9, which already has bezel on the side, right? And then your game's in the center. So now you're putting it on a 4x3, and now it has letterbox, and it has the bezel, and then there's the 4x3 way in there. The second option, based on whatever input device you're putting into it, is to try to crop that. So that could work. So I was thinking maybe if you plugged an NES Classic or like a Switch into an Arcade1up cabinet that's 4x3, you could get away with it if you had the ability on the scaler, the adapter, to be able to switch modes. Like, I'm in letterbox mode, or I'm in crop mode. And so while you're in, let's say you're doing an NES Classic, you're playing NES games that are 4x3. But while you're in the game selection menu, you kind of need to see maybe the whole screen. So you'd kind of be in letterbox mode so you can kind of scroll through the games. Once you enter the game, if you could press a button on the little converter to be like, hey, crop now, then it's going to basically zoom in on the 4x3 part and kind of fill your whole screen. So that's the complications, like trying to fit a square into a circle or peg hole or whatever the expression is. That's the complication. So a lot of people go to a Raspberry Pi because there's a lot of RetroPie builds out there that are for a 4x3 screen or a 5x4 screen. And then, basically the entire UI for that scenario is intending to be on a monitor like an Arcade1up. But the Legends Ultimate is only 16:9. So it's like a widescreen scenario. So the kind of two are incompatible. Unless you stretch it, and then for me, it would just annoy me. Maybe there's some people out there that could just let it go and just be like, yeah, it's stretched or letterboxed or cropped or whatever, and I don't care. But I think eventually the gameplay would just kind of suffer. So I'd say I don't know. It's a cool idea. Use that because it's cheap. It's $89. But it would be better if AtGames knew that was a thing. They could sell more of their core. There's I think I bought a core from them. It was like $50. If they built their UI to also work for 4x3, there was a 4x3 mode, then potentially they could sell upgrade kits, and people that have Arcade1up cabinets could buy the upgrade kit but flip the switch or go into the menu and say, this is targeting a 4x3 screen because I'm using it in an arcade, or basically an Arcade1up. And you could use the Legends Ultimate, but their developers would have to make it where the game menu selection would also work in a 4x3 screen. It could happen because we know their pinball, it's the same firmware, right? The pinball has various rotations. So you got either, you're in horizontal mode for the Legends Ultimate and you have the vertical mode for the pinball. So already their firmware has to know the different orientations. But what if they also make it where the targeting resolution could be 16:9 or 4x3? Then that 4x3 option, then you could buy their PCB and that has access to the cloud, that has some licensed games, but then run it on a 4x3 screen. And a lot of people would probably use that to mod their Arcade1up, and maybe they have the best of both worlds, right? You'd still need the LVDS converter on your Arcade1up because you need to get that HDMI, but then it'd be up to the input device to, deliver the signal at the resolution that you need it at. Okay, so let's go back to, I'm sure we have a lot of reads, in the tool here. So why do people mod their Arcade1up? I'm sorry. Yeah. Why do people mod their Arcade1up and have to go through all that hassle when they can just buy a Legends Ultimate and sideload games and they have to do any of the hardware modifications? Michael Blom says, because it's fun. Because I wanted I'm sorry, your average gamer, I don't know, is cut off. The artwork and the nostalgia of having multiple cabs. I know this too well. I'm in that situation as well. I see someone calling out my name. It says, Justin, all you have to do is set the screen to full. It'll look 16:9 on a 16:9 TV, but output to a 4x3 screen, it just fills it up. Looks great. I ran my core to a 1-up. So I haven't tried that. I'll check it out. But one of the tests that I did, a simple test you can do is you go to a game that has a circle on it. Okay. So what you want is the developer drew a circle. Let's say Sonic's rings. I don't know if the Sonic ring is a perfect circle, but let's say there's a game with a perfect circle. And then is it still going to be a perfect circle when the device is intending it to be 16:9, but then you're going full, but you're targeting the 4x3? Is it squishing it or is it cropping it? If it's squishing it, that circle is going to become an oval. And now you're playing a game where you're jumping through ovals and not circles. But if you're telling me that you've got a Legends core, plug that into a 4x3 screen, and all the circles are still circles. Like you plug it in 16:9 and it's a circle, and you plug it into 4x3 and it's still a perfect circle, then they're cropping. And if they're cropping, that's great. That's fantastic. Or, basically they know they're adjusting for the targeted 4x3. And when you go into the gameplay, they're making it so it'll go to that target device. What I would hate is if the circle looks like an oval now. It would drive me nuts. So I don't know which situation. If a circle's a circle, then awesome. But if it's an oval, it'd drive me nuts. Going back to this, it says the spinner on the 12-in-1 needed to be updated. Zero Hero says, I did one mod and I got rid of it. I spent 20 minutes every time I sat in front of it trying to find a game to play. Okay, I think I froze up there for a second. No, Zohar, I'm not going to, because I told you I wasn't going to if you super chatted again. I did one mod. Yeah, so he's saying he's suffering from the problem. Zero Hero is suffering from the problem where, he's got too many games selected. He's got too many games to choose from, so he didn't really like it. And something that I've talked to Ralph about, he said if you're doing a mod, just only put 20 games on it. 20 of your favorite games in it, then you don't have that selection problem. So Anti-Calgary says good size and nostalgic looking cabinets. Yeah, I think that's the common thing. Because I wanted the artwork that I got on a super sale. That's another thing. Arcade1up, a lot of people got it at like a really low price, right? And Arcade1up, perfect side and great design. Let's see. Tad is saying, and the Street Fighter 2 I put on the RetroPie was a $75 deal. Same thing, man. I bought a whole bunch of Arcade1ups. And I was like, no, I'm not going to mod it. I'm going to see if I can just keep using it in a genuine way. And then when I got that 75 deal on the asteroids, I was like, you know what? I recognize that ETA Prime just like blew it out of the water with his mod. So many people are following that. And there was a lot of questions on YouTube about exactly his mod. So you know what? I'm going to buy exactly his mod. I did literally exactly his mod. Even though I didn't really like the sticks and buttons and the light, I did it. I did it exactly. So if anyone on my channel was like, what about this? What about that? What about that? I could speak with experience. And I did it on a cab that was $75. And that was really cool. Brad O'Connor says, Arcade1up used to be cheap wood and monitor for projects. And then King Midas says, modding Arcade1up because I bought a used Street Fighter Arcade1up and didn't like that it had mono sound. That's right. So the newer people that are getting like what's it called? The Legacy line, they're gonna have the stereo. But yeah, those first ones didn't have stereo. C Marvel says, because from my hands-on experience with the Arcade1up games are nearly perfectly emulated, leaving the user to only need to add quality joysticks and buttons, which are plug and play. So that's another set of people that are doing different mods. A lot of people like the mods. A lot of people like the Arcade1up cabinets the way they are, but they wish the buttons and the sticks were upgraded. So there you go. And that's I did that. Which one of the cabinets? I can't remember which one of the cabinets. Oh, the Street Fighter. The Street Fighter that I had was genuine, and I've never modded it with different games, but I replaced with Sanwa sticks. Really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, a lot of people say that you can totally pull off the moves with the Arcade1up. And I guess if you're really, really good at Street Fighter, like professional level, maybe the Arcade1up sticks are just fine because you just think like, oh, wanting to upgrade to higher quality is just an excuse that you're not very good at the game. And some of the professionals are like, I can play it with any stick, whatever. But for me, having the higher quality sticks makes the game more enjoyable. That's why I'd recommend it. Let's see. This one picked up. Okay, so Zohar said, read, Bobby View is making me a custom Mortal Kombat now. So no need to save up for a full-size MK cabinet anymore. Nice job, Zohar. Molar Medic says, Justin, if you get access to a 20-inch 4x3, please let us know. I think oh yeah. So the 2007 Dell monitor is a 4x3, right? I think it's a 4x3. I have one of those, but you're talking about like newly commercially available. Yes. The person that I'm talking to about it, he said, yeah, the moment they come available, he'll let everybody know for sure. And let's see. Zohar says, are you going to read my super chat? And the answer is no. The answer is no. Okay, guys. So that's the conversation that we're talking about, right? So you got Arcade1up, you got Legends Ultimate. But what about the NeoGeo MVSX, right? What about people that are modding that? Like, let's talk about that. So first of all, let's talk about who in the chat actually owns the NeoGeo MVSX. So if you do not own it, go ahead and put a 0 in the chat that you do not own it, and then put a 1 in the chat if you do own it. Let's see. And let's see, we're starting to get them come in. We got some zeros coming in. So Lori is saying that she does not add. So Paul says MVSX isn't an option. It's too tall. I don't use risers. Wait, what was that? Oh, I see. He doesn't use risers, and the MVSX is like a bar top. So, Paul, you would say it's like the same thing as like the iArcade. Like the iArcade for you wouldn't work because you don't use risers, and those are bar tops. That's interesting. Okay, so it's kind of interesting because, again, this could be, Paul's like, it's not 3/4 scale. So 82% so far in the chat have mentioned that no, they do not own the NeoGeo MVSX. Okay. So we're gonna. Looks like that's starting to. Let's see. So Uber Disco says I do want one. So that's interesting. Mike says I passed on the MVSX because I own original hardware and 42 NVS cartridges. So it's not a good fit for me right now. Dude, if you've collected 42 NVS cartridges, I would be upset if you bought an MVSX, right? So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, that's right, Zohar. Yeah, you got one as well, right? Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we're gonna do another poll. I'm gonna clear this out. And right now the software's a little buggy. I'm working on version 2 and it's coming together, but I didn't publish it yet. So we're gonna do another one. We're gonna filter it on the latest comments. Among the people that just hit 1 because they do own a NVSX, the next question is, how many of you have side-loaded additional games on the MVSX? So basically like the high-low hack. The high-low hack that's out there that allows you to add more games to the Unico branded NeoGeo MVS 0 if no. You're like, mine is still vanilla. And 1 if you're like, hell yeah, the moment that thing came out, boop, boop. Yeah, plug that sucker in, Let's see. Now, again, we've already talked about who owns what. So this is only among the people that own it. I'm just kind of curious, right? Don't worry, I'm taking all this data and sending it to the FBI. No, I'm kidding. So this one's interesting because I guess I could get the appeal to add more games to it. But what we just talked about was, why would you buy an Arcade1up if the Legends is so much easier to add games? And the genuine answer is because I like the look of the Street Fighter. I like the look of the Pac-Man. That's what I wanted, but I kind of want to add more games to it. And again, this is a sample size of the console kits, fan base, which is probably going to be a lot Arcade1up fans. I get that. So this is nowhere near scientific, but I think it's fun, right? And again, we're all testing this tool that I'm putting together. So hopefully, a podcast is all about taking risks, I think. A good podcast is unscripted, like a Joe Rogan podcast where you're just one person interviewing another person. And so what I'm trying to do is say, we have a live show here, right? So it's one person interviewing an audience, right? So I want your input on what these things are. And that can hopefully create that conversation that allows us to explore dangerous zones. It's unpredictable. It's risky. But that's what makes content good, because that's life. Life is risky. When you have a friend over and you have conversations, you might slip and say something that offends them. Yeah, that's why you might come here and get offended, because it's raw, right? And I may slip and say something. Please forgive me if I upset you. Anyway, so let's check this out. So most people that are here that own the NeoGeo MVSX have not modded it. And so let's go ahead and hit read, okay? And afterwards you can explain why you did or why you have not modded it, right? Because I want to know. I'm curious what the answer is. Yeah, Zohar's like, all those zeros are lies. So I saw a few people explain, and let me go to the filter part, and I'm going to filter for reads. So Mike says, I passed on MVSX because I own original hardware. We talked about that already. So let's get some more reads in here so we can talk about it. Let's have a conversation, right? And so what I'm thinking, I saw one already, and it's from 9 Scorpion. He says, it's got 50 games. It does the job as is. And okay, hold on a second. I get this bug where, like, if I do this poll and then read, then oh, no. We got to do it again. Hold on. We got to filter. We got to refresh. Okay, we're on filter mode. And then I'm going to go to read. And, okay. Lewis says, I have the Neo Geo Mini. Does that count? Let's see. No need to add games to the NVSX since I already have a Retro Pi box. Okay, that's from Tad. Zohar says, because why not? Dreamcast Kyle is like, dude, I only do the ATA Prime mods, right? That's all we do. This is interesting. I didn't think this. So Don is saying because he has the AtGames for ROMs. Okay, that's something I hadn't considered. So you got the Arcade1up, and you got the AtGames, and then you got the NeoGeo. And so you're like, look, I've already got the easy access to sideload games with the AtGames. So why would I mod the NeoGeo? All those additional games on the NeoGeo, I could probably just play on the AtGames if I find those ROMs and sideloaded. I get it. That's kind of interesting. I hadn't thought of that. Let's see. Big Jim Cruz says, I wanted to complete the collection. I see. So that's an interesting thing because we're all hoping there's some people out there that don't want to do the mods. They want to keep everything vanilla. And what I like about it is I think sometimes piracy, let's just call it that. Let's just say those types of hacks out there. Like, first of all, let me put the disclaimer out there because every single time I talk about piracy, there's someone in the chat that gets crazy. Look, reverse engineering is not illegal. I used to do that for a living. Like, literally, I understand the law. I don't talk about that much, but I understand the law when it comes to reverse engineering hardware. There's nothing wrong with taking a piece of hardware and tearing it apart and understanding how it works. There's certain laws like DMCA, and DMCA is very broad, but DMCA has a thing and a notion on it where if you're in the process of reverse engineering and you do any decrypting that's a part of that to be able to discover things, that's something that can, let's just say, open you up to a lawsuit. There's lawsuits out there on the books where some people have done that. They decapped chips, they gained access to it, but there's a level of reverse engineering that they did. They went too far, and the law protects the corporations when that happens. But a lot of cases when it comes to video game piracy video game emulation would be a more proper term to do it. It's all black box reverse engineering, right? They're taking a system, they're taking a computer and trying to recreate it in software or like with an FPGA. And if they do that in the right way, like it's totally covered under case law. It's totally covered on the case of like you're just reverse engineering. Now, when it comes to downloading games that are owned by publishers, I'm sure there's publishers out there that would be really upset, and they're mostly upset for people that are selling games. Like if a publisher was going to go after somebody, in my experience when I was in that industry of anti-piracy, the customers that we had, those publishers, would go after people that were selling it broadly and making them look bad. And so it's very uncommon or less common for publishers and owners of intellectual property to go after end users. They don't appreciate it, but they usually don't sue them. Probably because of Metallica in the music industry with Napster was kind of a bad thing. And a lot of those companies that are trying to protect their property and the lawyers that are behind it realize there's more good. I think they used the analogy, I can't remember, it was like cutting the head off the snake or something stupid like that. Like go after the ones that are selling it and making it turnkey. And some of the companies that I worked with that we went after, these companies, believe it or not, were making millions of dollars. And those are the ones that were taken down. I think there was one that made like $100,000 in like 3 months, and we took him down, right? Literally because he was selling modded Xboxes and Wiis and Dish Network and DirecTV piracy. This is back like, 2010-ish area, 2012. And so, but end user piracy is a little bit different. Anyway, so I just, whatever disclaimer out there that people are going to say in the chat that they think I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to sit here and rattle on to be like, I know what I'm talking about, but let's get it straight. Sometimes I slip my tongue, and I'm not trying to offend anyone for like, I'm not trying to like say, burn someone for like downloading ROMs. I don't care. Whatever you want to do, that's your personal decision. Okay. Anyway, so back to the point. NeoGeo, let's read what people are saying about it, right? So too many games then take you too much time finding a game. That's interesting because if you have a NeoGeo MVSX, you already have 50 games. You're going to add another 50 games? Getting back to my earlier point, because I just remembered it now, what I would appreciate is companies like a Unico or Legends Ultimate or Arcade1up, when they eliminate the need for the audience or the consumers to be able to find other means to play those games that are considered a gray market, that's when they're innovating. And so in the past, I've talked about I didn't like about this about the community. I didn't like this about the community. And the reason why is because I appreciate it when companies think outside the box and try to fix the problem by innovating. And as a software developer, I encourage that because that gives more work to developers and fun work. So the idea of being a software developer and you're working on something really, really cool is exciting. Let me tell you something that's not exciting. working for a company where you're building a tool where no one's using it because then they just hack it. That's not fun. It's like something you worked really, really hard on and people just like sideload different firmware on it. Like, that's not fun. Like, I feel bad for that developer that like worked really, really hard until like 3 o'clock in the morning to hit some deadline. And then someone just flashes it with some jailbroken software. It's like, no, it'd be really cool if that company was innovating or hiring an architect to like come up with some really great things. And I think AtGames has done some really cool things to lead people away from that, like leaderboards and like getting involved in the community and these tournaments and stuff like that. But at the same time, like, hey, you're doing something really, really cool in innovating. Then over here, like, so like with Unico, like they should get a license with Capcom because there's so many people out there that would want to just like play those games and would pay for it. Like the demographic that they're selling to, a lot of us, at least in the community I look at, some of us, don't do very well financially. They're paycheck to paycheck, and some in their 30s and 40s are doing very well for themselves. So there's a variety of different people out there. The people that make some money are willing to pay for it if it's turnkey, because they don't want to spend a weekend trying to flash it and sideload and learning 50 different ways to do step-by-steps on how to do things. They're like, yeah, $20, sure. I'll just, dude, pay $20 so I don't have to spend a weekend like doing all that. That's cool, man. That's cool. And so don't get me wrong, like the whole idea of like you want to be able to sideload ROMs yourself, and I'm not gonna stop you. I don't care what you're gonna do. So I'm not gonna try to talk ill about whatever activities you are talking about. But on the flip side, I want to encourage innovation and doing things cool that make it so I don't even have to do those things. I don't have to waste my time doing that thing because you're providing a service that's awesome. Okay, anyway, let me just read some more. I'm ranting too long, okay? So, Zero Hero, he passed on the MVSX because he had no space. Mike said, I did pick up a NeoGeo Arcade Stick Pro, dirt cheap, to use with the Nintendo Switch, fighting games. There's also a high-low hack for that device, too, which I'd like to check out. And Brian says, AtGames Legends Ultimate can play all the NeoGeo games with good sticks and buttons. And Zero Ho says, vanilla is the #1 flavor of ice cream. That's right. It's the #1 flavor, right? Zohar saying, all live shows should be unscripted and spontaneous. People gravitate towards spontaneity. It's always a better show when you don't know what to expect. It's more fun, more interesting. That's a good point. At this point, Don says, at this point, all mini arcade companies have their market, and illegal ROMs aren't hurting them. Probably not. I think you're right. Yeah, it's kind of a lot of people debate about whether illegal ROMs are hurting them. Yeah, who knows? Probably not. Whatever. This industry is probably too small. This home arcade industry is too small to even do an analysis that does a proper good, whether or not it's hurting or not hurting the industry, whatever. I will say there's a lot of people out there that are like, that have weird claims about why piracy is good. And some of that's kind of weird. I will say that there's not everything everybody says is true. But I don't disagree with your point that you're trying to make, Don. Like there's some people that are like, downloading ROMs is not illegal. It's like going and there's a brand new Switch game that's out there, and I found a way to be able to download it and play it without playing. And that doesn't break any laws. Like, no, there's laws that are like, you shouldn't do that. I think I've told this before, like, crossing the street, jaywalking doesn't hurt anybody. Like, it could hurt you if you got hit by a car. It is technically illegal in most cities that you're not supposed to be able to cross a busy street unless you're at a crosswalk. Like, you can't say it's not illegal. Now, whether it harms people is another question, but if you got busted, it would harm you. And if someone did bust you, they would have the legal right to sue you civilly. Most of these would be civil lawsuits. What I'd really hate is if someone and this is what I've seen before, I'm just telling you, if you're making money off of selling sauce or selling ROMs, you are putting yourself at risk. Now, I'm not trying to put fear into you. Who cares? None of that fear. Don't be fearful about anything I'm saying. And please don't use that argument against me like, oh, he's fear-mongering. That's not what I'm saying. Just saying that someone who does that, I'm telling you, is putting themselves at legal risk because someone could decide to go after that person who is selling something that's taking money away from their company. They would have the legal right to pursue you. A judge would sign that lawsuit. They're like, yeah, let's proceed with this civil. You can go, and depending on which country you're in, there's different laws that help you and some that don't. Okay. And now we're at a point where the reads are limiting. All right. Nobody sells ROMs. Come on. I don't know about that. There's people that sell ROMs. Derek's like, dude, my MVSX has almost 600 games on it. Don't need anything else. Let's see. Don says, at this point, all mini arcade companies... Yeah, we talked about that already. Let's go into the read. Let's see. Let's try to catch up on where we're at. There, read. Okay. I think we're caught up pretty good, guys. And you know what's cool? We hit our 1 hour. And Brad says the ending point. If you need free ROMs, just go to Cool Toy. Cool Toy has all the ROMs for free. You won't get in trouble because he's not selling them. Like I said, you don't get in trouble for freely distributing things. The people that get in trouble are the ones that sell them. Actually, first the companies go after people that are selling them. But in the anti-piracy industry that I was involved in, monetizing from ads was actually something that was considered. Like there was websites that sold, or there was websites out there that made access to things that you shouldn't have access to freely available, and the advertisement was considered revenue. And when we went after those people, we sued them for the exact amount that we were able to discover that they were making off of those advertisements. And so all the money that they made from that advertisement was pulled from them. It was just a civil lawsuit. It wasn't criminal or anything like that. So we basically, whatever you earned, you now had to pay the company. It's a different industry, but still, it's a point, right? So I got to be careful right now because this video, we talked about ROMs. I didn't show you where to get them or anything like that, but it's a conversation. Hopefully it's covered under, we're just educational purposes. We're talking about something that's in the industry. It's almost like a conversation about anything. Like there could be YouTube channels out there that are talking about politics. There's YouTube channels that are talking about whatever, and we're talking about gaming. We're talking about something that's super common in, this side of the world, this part of our niche, and Don ends it perfectly. Remember, ROMs are like crack, and crack is whack. All right, thanks so much for hanging out. If you enjoyed this rant that I had, hit like, hit subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. Have a good one, everybody. Have a good weekend.